Peyton Watson guarding Thompson. Thompson, wildly athletic, throws it down.
This is Ausar Thompson, and calling him
Wildly athletic
might be a bit of an understatement. He looks like he's jumping off a trampoline here, switching from dunk to layup midair, and then here's a weak side rotation ending in a block that looks like it's straight out of Space Jam or something. But if you've been following the NBA, you probably already know about Ausar's athleticism. So today we're going to dig a little bit deeper and break his game down into a few categories, starting on defense with his hands. Plenty of defenders have elite hands, but what makes Ausar's unique is this sort of relentlessness, poking and jabbing and poking again until James Harden finally can't hold on to it and somebody left a banana peel on the floor. Ignore that. Watch how disruptive he is here. Swipes at Pritchard's drive and misses, but now pokes at Keita in the third time's the charm. So he just will not give up when he's attacking the ball. He pokes with the right hand to force a pickup and now gets in there with the left to knock it free, and his hands were active from start to finish there. Here's another one where he misses on the first try, then jars it free on the second. Jokic trying to corral it but doesn't quite have control, and that means it's Ausar's ball, and this fast break ends the way it's supposed to. Here's probably my favorite play where, of course, he pokes to try and steal the rebound, now hustles back and gets in the way of a potential pass to OG, and then somehow recovers to take away the skip to Brunson. That's ridiculous. And for KCP here, you usually don't have to think twice about making an outlet pass, but Ausar's hand is on the ball before the pass is even gone, and he turns that one into a nice finish again. So as you can see, opponents need to be extra careful when Ausar's in their vicinity. Cole Anthony didn't quite get the memo there, and notice here the screen actually connects really well, but Ausar's just never admitting defeat and still pokes it from an elite ball handler. But this motor and relentlessness doesn't just show up in how he attacks the ball, because when you combine that type of motor with his athleticism, you'll see him be able to stay glued to ball handlers or make crazy recoveries when it seems like he's out of the play. I'm going to call this section Stickiness and Recovery Skills. Stickiness is a term you hear used to describe defensive backs in football, but it applies to our guy Ausar here too. Here's what I mean. He can slither through a screen and stay attached to the hip, now get through another and recover all the way back in front, and now ramp up the ball pressure and Tatum loses it on the drive. And he can apply that pressure because even if he gets beat like it looks like he is here, he has the recovery skills to instantly get back in front and now just give him the chest to force another turnover. Here's one where he gambles on a steal, as he's prone to do, and it looks like Bogey should be able to get to the rim, but Ausar just kind of runs with him while staying attached, then gets all the way in front and swipes down perfectly. So the fact that he can recover while still applying ball pressure like this is unique, and it means that not only can he stay in front, but he can cause a ton of turnovers because there's nowhere safe to put the ball. These recovery skills also help on his closeouts, where he can fly out to an elite shooter, and most guys who close out that hard are gonna allow an open driving lane, but Ausar can change direction to stay stuck to him, and there are those active hands again. And even when screens connect and force a switch, suddenly Ausar is now glued to his new man. He gets this type of steal a lot, where he's chasing over a screen, gets hit, the Pistons switch it, and now Ausar's trailing the roller, so this should be the pass, but watch him just eat up that space and take it away. So even if somehow you get away from him as a ball handler, now the roller's just totally smothered, and you probably shouldn't throw what would usually be the right pass. This crazy speed and athleticism also works really well when paired with elite anticipation and awareness, and Ausar's got that stuff too. Check out the awareness here. Hardaway gets left in the dust, so Duren has to come help, and Ausar recognizes this is going to be a lob to Bam, so he tracks the pass as it's thrown and rotates over to break it up. And notice how much quicker off the ground he is than Bam here. That's freaky stuff. He'll also do things like this, where it looks just like a routine pass. Ausar doesn't look like he's anywhere near it, but because he reacts so fast when DiVincenzo picks up his dribble, he can get into the passing lane to snag it. And he's also good at baiting passes, like on this one. He steps in to stop the drive, but he knows that when he does that, Bridges is gonna throw this pass, so he just jumps back out to it all in one fluid motion. And now check out this dime for the highlight. Okay, Jalen. His awareness really shows up when there's a breakdown on defense. Like here, Holland bites on this cross, so Duren has to take Garland, and now the roll's open, but it's actually not because Ausar saw that pass coming. Or how about this one where Tobias kind of falls asleep, and this is a dunk 9 out of 10 times, except for the one time where Ausar flies in from behind you to erase it. I especially like this play where he's kind of slowing down, trying to see what's happening, then notices the open man and puts on the jetpack to swat it. This is more nice awareness where Cade and Duran both end up on the ball and the roller's wide open, and these two kind of give up on getting back to it, but Ausar says, "Don't worry guys, I'll guard him too." And how about this anticipation where he leaves his man to crash for a board, but Isaac gets it instead, and now Ausar times up his closeout to take this pass out of the air, and Isaac's got to be pretty confused on what just happened. It's not a stretch at all to say he's already one of the best defenders in the entire league, but that's pretty well documented. Nobody really questions his defense. There are questions on the other end of the floor though, so now it's time to talk about his offense, and we'll start with the good stuff. 64% of his shots last season came at the rim, which is the 100th percentile, and that makes sense obviously because he can't shoot, but it also makes sense because he's a really solid cutter, and that athleticism allows him to finish plays other guys at his position just can't. He scores off these corner cuts and dunker spot cuts a lot, and you can see Cade draws 2 to the ball, hits Duran who draws help from Ausar's man, and then that dump off is wide open. They got a lot of these against the Knicks, and these are pretty easy ones, but Ausar's also just a handful as a cutter because of how explosive he is off the floor. Catches it on this cut, and when he's got a runway like this, it looks like he's jumping off that trampoline again, but this was also a really well timed cut, knowing that as soon as Drew Smith moves to the shooter, that cut would be open, so he's got good feel and awareness for when to cut, and when he gets the ball, he's such a good athlete that he can usually finish it. We'll get more specific about his finishing later, but the Pistons also occasionally use him as a screener and a roll man, and I like him in this role, especially in lineups with more shooting, maybe when Duran's off the court. Anything to get Ausar going towards the rim is good by me, but the most untapped part of his game, which is what I think could fuel a true breakout, is his passing feel. He only averaged 2.3 assists per game last year, but he's got a really good feel for the game. Watch this one where he stares at Tobias, Bruce Brown takes the bait, and that was going to Cade all along. Or a broken play here where he sees the open man out of the corner of his eye and whips another no look. He's especially good in transition where he threads this one to Hardaway. I like this one where he takes 2 quick dribbles and then finds Holland streaking behind him, and that's a nice dunk by Holland, but it was also a nice decision there that Ausar made pretty early. I think a lot of guys probably try to keep driving this, and you'll see more of that high feel here where Tobias throws him a lob, but Ausar knows Hardaway's open for a cleaner look, so he one-hand whips it to him. Most players known as freak athletes or elite defenders usually don't see the floor this well, and that's what makes me excited about all this. And oh wait, did you catch that little bobble? He got away with it there, but this is part of what's held Ausar back from being a more impactful on-ball player. So now it's time to talk about his areas of improvement. As good of a passer as Ausar is, he just doesn't have the handle to match it, and that leads to all sorts of problems. Like here, a straight line drive where one little swipe from CP3 gets him to dribble it off his knee, or here, he's got a full head of steam in transition with Santi Aldama waiting, and he kind of slows down, throws out 2 choppy little dribbles, and defaults to a Euro step. That was just awkward the whole way. Basically the same story here, where he's coming downhill, but he's indecisive, the footwork's just off, and he misses again. So the lack of handle certainly makes him less confident and indecisive with the ball in his hands, and the lack of scoring moves keeps him from being more efficient around the basket. Again, he can put together some nice spin moves into finishes or some athletic up and unders, but I'd love to see him develop some sort of touch or floater game, or just some more consistent go-to scoring moves that get him better angles on these finishes. And you might hear this stuff and think it's a criticism, but this is the stuff that excites me the most about Ausar's game. All this is teachable. He can develop touch, he can get a better, more confident handle. What you can't teach is whatever this is, or whatever that was. Even passes like this, that's natural ability that Ausar's got locked and loaded. He just needs some polish on his skills, and when he gets it, you're gonna see a lot more plays that look like this one.
Thompson, wildly athletic, throws it down.
Rather than this one.
Ausar to forecourt.
With all that said, his biggest and most obvious issue is his jump shot, and I think that's what'll really determine Ausar's ceiling, but it's a pretty big ask to expect someone to just become a competent shooter in one offseason, whereas I do think it's reasonable to expect Ausar's handle and touch around the rim and the footwork stuff to look a little bit different throughout this season than last, so that's what I'll be looking out for. As always, thank you all for watching. Any likes or comments are hugely appreciated, and I will see you in the next one.